A waste incinerator in Casino.
It really spreads and it ends up on the grass. The cows eat the grass. The cows then go to the meat works and we eat the meat. Those cows, for milking cows, generate milk. We drink the milk contaminated with dioxins. 80% of the dioxins in people comes from food sources. It gets worse. This stuff is in the rain, ends up on your roof, into your water tank, so it's into your drinking water at home if you're a farmer, depending on drinking water from tanks. It ends on the ground, so if you're growing vegetables, it'll be in the vegetables that you harvest from the ground, in the crops that you grow. So if you're into growing sugar cane or oilseed stuff, these things end up in the food cycle, in the food chain. And as anybody will tell you, in a complex system, things go wrong from time to time. Like happened in Chernobyl, a nuclear explosion out there, someone will make a mistake on the safety issues and you get a disaster. We don't need these sorts of disasters.
As we heard from the New South Wales Chief Scientist, these waste incinerators should never be placed in a food producing area, let alone a built up residential area, because of the pollution threats that they pose.
The health impacts include things like spina bifida, cleft palates, hair lip deformities in children, in babies, anencephaly. Those things are all associated with dioxin and furans, well documented. The acid rain, the sulfuric acid, the hydrochloric acid, the nitric oxides, they're all toxic compounds, affect people, affect children with respiratory conditions.
Impacts to reproductive system, cancers, impacts to people's immune systems, making them more vulnerable to other illnesses, and of course respiratory illnesses. They might not necessarily occur in the first year or 2 years of an incinerator operating, but the life of these incinerators is sometimes up to 30 years. This is a lot of pollution emitted to the environment 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The lead levels and the mercury levels. Now you might ask, where does the mercury come from in this sort of ash? Well, a lot of waste contains mercury mercury batteries from hearing aids, from cameras, from calculators, all of which contain mercury and cadmium. That all goes up in the incinerator and ends up dispersing as cadmium, metallic mercury and lead.
Australia barely has any air quality guidelines, let alone having guidelines for the full spectrum of chemicals that you would expect to come out of a waste incinerator stack. And one of the emerging fields of great concern is ultrafine particles. That's very small particles that can actually pick up the other chemical pollutants in the stack and become a delivery mechanism for taking those chemicals deep into the lungs, where they lodge and stay and can cause all types of problems, respiratory illnesses and so on. So that is of great concern, and as far as we're aware, there is no pollution control equipment that can actually control for ultrafine particles, let alone the spectrum of other pollutants that we've talked about.
It always pains me if you deliver a baby that has a major deformity, and it does happen, and you wonder why. And that's why in this area we've got to be very careful to keep the environment as clean as possible. It's a country town in a country area. We're not near any coal mines. So building an incinerator over here is going to risk polluting the atmosphere and making for more birth traumas, more unhappy births.
So once the community found out what these secret plans were to build an incinerator, of course we used all the avenues available to us to try and find out how that decision came to be made without any type of community consultation. And to our absolute astonishment, what came back was, sorry, you're not having any information. It's all cabinet in confidence.
Any information to do with the health or the environment and the effects of POPs on health and environment must be publicly available. You cannot claim that as confidential. Yet, here we are, we're in a situation where all the decisions about Casino being an idea that that's where you may put an incineration, all of those decisions have been made behind closed doors. There's been no consultation and certainly no participation in these decisions?
It looks like the National Party has been working with local council for many years prior to the regulation being put in place. Local councillors in Richmond Valley Council were actually taken on a trip to Japan to look at waste incinerators and nothing else.
As a councillor who'd been on council for 18 years, I was just horrified. What appalled me even more was that there were very duplicitous statements that were made by people on Richmond Valley Council which suggested that no, there was no incinerator plan for Casino, when everybody who had any common sense could see that this really was not the case, and that yes, it was going ahead. From their perspective, that they are behind the scenes, they are pursuing every single option to make sure that this will happen. And the first part in that development will be when they release their regional jobs precinct, which is due to come out very soon. And that will be when people in the community really need to get involved, because if they are taken in by the comments about jobs, then they're probably likely to not think that they need to worry about it.
It's going to destroy our farm, our way of life. It won't be worth anything financially. The roads are going to be destroyed from all the big double trucks that are coming right through Casino and all surrounding areas. The roads aren't made or built for that. The land values are going to be destroyed. There'll be next to nothing. We won't be able to sell our beef. And you won't be able to sell the milk, you won't be able to sell the piggery or the organic farming because it'll be all poisoned. Well, this is going to affect everybody.
Our household water, agricultural water comes from the Richmond River. All these pollutants are going to eventually make their way to the river. This is going to affect the whole of the river system from Casino right down to Ballina, so it's not just a Casino issue.
And apart from anything else, the line that they're pursuing about jobs is not actually what's ever going to happen. Once the incinerator is in place, there are very few jobs that are part of that process. And in the meantime, what they're doing is absolutely ruining the life of our farmers. They're absolutely going to lose their capacity to produce. That's millions and millions of dollars that will be lost.